They told him it was just getting older. Poor blood flow, weaker performance. That's normal after 60, the doctor said with a shrug. But 3 months later, he ended up in the emergency room with what looked like a heart attack. It wasn't his heart at all. There were blocked blood vessels down there. Nobody told him that poor blood flow doesn't just affect your arms and legs. It can quietly destroy your intimacy, your confidence, and your connection with the person you love. Hello, I'm Dr. Andrew. I've dedicated over 3 decades to helping men regain mastery of their wellness, their vitality, and yes, their capacity to be close once more. I've assisted thousands of men beyond 60, and I can share one truth with absolute certainty. Growing older isn't the issue. The genuine issue is what nobody discusses and how straightforward modifications can reverse it. Most people think baking soda is just for cleaning or baking. But when you use it like this, the way I'm about to show you, it has a powerful effect on blood flow, artery health, and nitric oxide levels. That's right, something sitting in your kitchen right now might be the missing piece to feeling younger, more alive, and reconnected in the bedroom. And don't worry, I'm not going to overwhelm you with complex medical terminology. I'll guide you through precisely how it functions, why it's beneficial, and how to apply it safely. But be warned, using it incorrectly could have negative consequences, particularly at our stage of life. So remain with me, because in just a moment, I'm going to reveal the technique that's been quietly transforming the lives of men over 60 throughout the nation. Before we continue further, if this type of practical, life-altering health guidance matters to you, I encourage you to press the BBDU subscribe button and activate notifications. That way, you'll never miss another tip designed to help you feel stronger, more connected, and in command of your wellness. And if you're finding this beneficial so far, simply type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your input helps me make this even more valuable for you. Let's begin with the reality that most men over 60 never learn from their physician, and it's costing them more than they understand. You see, the silent decrease in blood circulation that starts in your 50s doesn't just impact your energy. It gradually erodes your strength, your mood, and your ability to feel close to the person you love. It begins small, colder extremities, becoming breathless quicker, maybe just not feeling interested as frequently. But over time, it accumulates, and if you disregard it, it can develop into something far more severe. 1. The widespread issue in men over 60. Inadequate blood circulation. I recall a gentleman named Robert, 68 years old, retired, married for over 4 decades. He entered my office not for a cardiac concern, not even for intimacy issues. He simply said, "Doctor, I don't feel like myself anymore." His hands were cold even during summer. He was falling asleep earlier each evening, and though he didn't express it directly initially, I could sense he was quietly carrying something heavier, a feeling of loss he couldn't articulate. When we discussed more, he confessed intimacy had become infrequent, awkward, and sometimes even distressing, not physically, but emotionally. He felt like he was slowly vanishing from the man he used to be. What Robert was experiencing is far more widespread than most people understand. In fact, it's one of the most prevalent and ignored problems facing men over 60, and it all begins with blood circulation. As we mature, the inner walls of our blood vessels start to harden. The arteries become less flexible. The blood doesn't flow as freely. And the smaller vessels, the ones responsible for keeping us warm, energized, and responsive, begin to shut down like aging pipes. It doesn't occur overnight. It creeps in gradually, stealing vitality bit by bit, until we start calling it simply aging. But it's not just aging. It's poor circulation, and it doesn't only affect your physical wellness. It affects how you feel as a man, as a husband, as a human being. It can leave you frustrated, disconnected, and wondering if the finest years are behind you. I've witnessed men doubt themselves, question their value, even avoid affection, not because they don't care, but because their body isn't responding the way it used to, and nobody ever explained why. The encouraging news is this decline isn't unavoidable. There are methods to support circulation, restore flexibility to your blood vessels, and rekindle that spark you thought was gone forever. And believe it or not, one of the most straightforward tools I've ever recommended is probably sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now. Yes, I'm talking about baking soda, but not in the way you've seen on the back of a box. Let me show you how this simple household item, when used the right way, can begin to reverse the very process that's been holding you back, and why the next few minutes may just change the way you think about your body forever. If you're still here and this message is connecting with you, go ahead and type the number 1 in the comments. It lets me know you're listening, you care about your wellness, and you're ready to take that next step. Now, let's move forward to the second key insight. 2. The severe consequences of inadequate circulation. I'll never forget the moment Thomas broke down in my office. He was 72, dignified, always well presented, the type of man who cared for everyone else, his family, his neighbors, even the wandering cat that found its way into his yard. But that day, he appeared smaller somehow, not physically, emotionally. He leaned forward, lowered his voice, and said, "Doctor, I don't feel like a man anymore." His blood tests appeared normal. His heart sounded steady. But I understood what was happening. His body wasn't delivering blood where it mattered most. Not just to his hands and feet, but to the places connected to his confidence, his sense of intimacy, and his connection with his wife. Poor circulation wasn't just affecting his health, it was quietly dismantling his identity. You see, when your blood flow decreases, it's like the lights in your house start dimming room by room. First, it's your energy. Then, it's your sleep. Then, it's your ability to respond when intimacy calls. It's not just physical. It gets into your mind. You start to doubt yourself. You feel distant from your partner, even when they're lying right beside you. That gradual breakdown isn't something you can fix with a pill or wish away with time. It requires understanding what's actually going wrong inside. Medically, it comes down to your endothelial function. That's the lining of your blood vessels. When it's damaged, you lose nitric oxide production. Without nitric oxide, your vessels can't expand. Your blood can't flow freely. And guess which areas suffer first? The smallest vessels. The ones involved in arousal, memory, warmth, and vitality. What begins as mild fatigue or a weaker response in the bedroom can transform into something much more serious. An early indication of vascular disease, increased risk of stroke, even dysfunction that stops responding to medication. And unfortunately, most men don't realize any of this until it's already affecting their lives in ways they never anticipated. But here's what gives me hope every day. Your body wants to heal. Blood vessels can regain flexibility. Nitric oxide levels can be naturally restored. And you don't need to rely on synthetic pills with side effects that frighten you more than the symptoms. In fact, there's a powerful, yet simple way to begin repairing this system with something you've probably used your entire life, but never like this. And when I started sharing this approach with my older patients, many of them returned saying, "I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again." So, now let's examine how sodium bicarbonate used properly can support this healing process from the inside out, and why it's far more than just a home remedy. 3. Baking soda. A simple overlooked solution. I remember when Gerald, a gentle 67-year-old, retired math teacher, came to me after trying everything. Supplements, prescription drugs, even embarrassing devices he ordered from late-night TV. "Nothing works," he said, shaking his head. "I feel like I'm chasing shadows." He was tired, not just in his body, but in his spirit. Then I asked him a question that caught him off guard. "Do you have baking soda in your kitchen?" He looked confused. "You mean for cookies?" I smiled. Most people think of baking soda as something you put in the fridge or sprinkle in pancake batter. But few realize what it can do inside the human body, especially for men dealing with poor blood flow and its silent effects on their energy, confidence, and connection. Baking soda isn't some miracle powder. It's a simple compound that, when used correctly, can support better blood flow and oxygen delivery in a way that really matters as we age. Here's what makes it powerful. As we get older, our bodies tend to become more acidic because of diet, stress, and aging kidneys. That acid buildup can tighten blood vessels and reduce oxygen. Two things you definitely don't want if you're already struggling with blood flow. A small amount of baking soda in water, taken at the right time, helps balance this excess acid. It gently balances the body's pH, which allows blood to move more freely. More freedom in your blood flow often means more strength, more warmth, and more responsiveness, even in places you thought were beyond help. I've seen men like Gerald start using it under guidance and notice small but meaningful changes. More energy in the morning, less stiffness, a spark of interest returning where there had been silence. Of course, it's not a cure-all and it doesn't replace healthy habits, but for many, it's been the beginning of a very real transformation. The body, once supported properly, begins to respond, and in some cases more than they thought possible. But I must be honest, what works gently when done right can be harmful when rushed, guessed at, or misused. That's where things get complicated and potentially dangerous. So, before you reach for the container and start mixing, there's something very important you need to know. Let me walk you through exactly how to use sodium bicarbonate safely and what to avoid so you don't accidentally make things worse while trying to get better. 4. The danger of using it incorrectly. I'll be honest with you, I've seen both sides of sodium bicarbonate. I've seen it help men reclaim their vitality and confidence, and I've also seen it backfire when used carelessly. One patient, Marcus, was 70 years old, active, still playing tennis twice a week. He saw something online about sodium bicarbonate improving blood flow and thought, why not? So he started taking a teaspoon every morning and another at night, thinking more would mean faster results. Within a week, he was bloated, his blood pressure spiked, and he ended up in the ER with heart palpitations and confusion. His kidneys, already weakened by years of silent stress, couldn't handle the overload. You see, sodium bicarbonate isn't dangerous by itself, but it becomes risky when people treat it like a quick fix without understanding how it works. It's not like taking a vitamin. It's a powerful compound that affects your body's internal chemistry, especially your pH levels, your fluid balance, and your sodium load. And for older adults, especially those on blood pressure medication or with any kidney sensitivity, that balance is fragile. The body works like a finely tuned car at this age. Too much sodium, even from something natural like baking soda, can throw off your heart rhythm, cause swelling, or push your blood pressure into dangerous territory. I've had to explain this to more than one patient who meant well, who just wanted to feel alive again, but didn't realize the cost of guessing. The good news is these risks are completely avoidable if you use it the right way. And right doesn't just mean a smaller amount. It means timing, drinking enough water, understanding your medications, and paying close attention to how your body responds. It means asking the right questions, not rushing toward results, and working with your body, not against it. I always tell my patients, just because something is natural doesn't mean it's automatically safe in any amount. Water is natural, but drink too much too fast, and it can still harm you. Baking soda can support real healing, but only when it's used with care, with respect, and ideally under guidance. Now, if you're still with me, I know you're not looking for a shortcut. You're looking for something that works, something that helps you feel like yourself again without putting your health at risk. So, Let me show you how to do this the right way, because in the next moment, I'll walk you through the exact method I use with my own patients: the safe timing, the right dosage, and one key trick that makes all the difference. 5. How to use it safely. When I talk about baking soda with my patients, their first question is almost always the same. "Okay, doctor, but how do I actually use it?" And it's the right question to ask because, as we've seen, the difference between helping your body and harming it comes down to the how. For most healthy adults over 60, the safest place to start is with just a quarter teaspoon of baking soda stirred into a full glass of water taken on an empty stomach. Ideally, first thing in the morning, not after a meal, not before bed, and definitely not multiple times a day, just once. That may sound small, but trust me, when it comes to your body's balance, small is smart. I remember one of my patients, Raymond, who was 74 and struggling with energy crashes in the afternoon and blood flow issues that made even a short walk feel like a chore. We started with that simple routine: a quarter teaspoon each morning, empty stomach, full glass of water, and within 3 weeks he told me, "I don't know what it is, doctor, but I feel clearer, more steady, and my hands aren't cold anymore." Now, here's something most people don't think about: drinking enough water. Baking soda works best when your body has plenty of water. That means drinking water throughout the day, not just when you're thirsty. When your blood has enough water, circulation improves, oxygen travels easier, and your organs, including those responsible for intimacy, work better. So, don't just focus on the baking soda itself. Think of it as part of a bigger change in how you care for your body. And if you're on medications, especially for high blood pressure, heart, or kidney issues, always talk to your doctor first. It's not about fear, it's about respect. Your body has been through decades of life. It deserves careful attention. You wouldn't drive a classic car without checking the engine first, right? Treat your health the same way. Most men don't need a total miracle. They just need one small victory to build hope. One positive change that tells them you're not finished, you're not broken, you're still in there. That's what this simple daily habit can be, the beginning of that change. Now, if all of this is sounding promising, stay with me just a little longer, because in the final part, I'm going to share the story of a 76-year-old man who used this exact method and one tiny addition that took his results to an entirely new level. You'll want to hear what happened next. There's a man named William I still think about often. He was 76, widowed, quiet, the kind of man who didn't say much unless he had something important to share. He came to see me after hearing about sodium bicarbonate through a mutual friend. He wasn't looking for a miracle. He just wanted to feel a little more like himself again, more alive, more connected, maybe even capable of opening his heart to someone new. We started him on the same routine I shared with you earlier: a small dose of baking soda in the morning, careful water drinking, watching for signs from his body. But he added one more thing that made all the difference: consistency. He didn't just take the mixture once and forget about it. He respected the process. He gave his body time to respond. Within a few weeks, the changes weren't dramatic, but they were steady. More warmth in his hands, better sleep, more presence in conversation. Then one day, with a small smile, he said, "I didn't think I'd ever feel this kind of closeness again, but I do." What I've shared with you may sound simple, but don't underestimate its power. We've talked about how poor blood flow silently affects millions of men over 60, how it steals energy, weakens intimacy, and makes you feel like your best years are behind you. We've explored how baking soda, when used the right way, can help restore balance to the body, support blood flow, and bring life back into places where things have felt numb or quiet for too long. And we've made it clear that this isn't about quick fixes. It's about giving your body the support it needs with care, patience, and respect. If you've felt tired, disconnected, or even a little hopeless about what's been slipping away, I want you to know this: it's not too late. The capacity for healing is still in you. Your body hasn't given up. It's just been waiting for you to listen. So maybe this small change is your place to begin. One glass, one habit, one quiet decision to take your health, your energy, and your confidence seriously. Not someday, but today, because you're not done yet. You still matter, and there's more life left to feel.